Hi, this time I wanted to talk about an idea that came out from a comment that Droid Life made in one of my videos. He wrote this comment in my improvisation and motivation in solo role playing games video. I'm going to put the link in the description below so you can check out that video, but you can also read the entirety of Droid Life's comment because it's a very interesting comment. It's somewhat lengthy, but I wanted to focus on a particular concept that came out somewhat spontaneously from his comment. He commented, "Funny to see this video today because last night I had a massive series of dream fragments going on when I slept. One of those vivid ones with stories and situations swinging wildly all over the place, and it made me almost laugh out loud when I awoke because it was all so bizarre and unexpected. Had to take a minute to try to retrieve pieces of it to secure them away in memory. That is the power of the mind, a vast ocean beyond comprehension." That's very poetic. So this came about because in my video of improvisation and motivation, I talked about how our minds could surprise us. Just like when we have dreams and nightmares, there is that hidden potential of surprising ourselves during a solo role-playing game. But in this case, what I'm going to talk about in this video applies to normal role-playing games and role-playing games without a game master, that is, if you are playing solo or co-op. Because I basically told Droid Life that it would be a good idea to keep a dream journal to use in role-playing games. Because when we have dreams and nightmares, there is just such a richness, such a vastness of material, such vast material that you can use in any role-playing game session to set up scenes, encounters, and for many other things. Before I get too further ahead, let me try to explain better. For example, when I was very little, perhaps more than 30 years ago, perhaps 33, 34, I had this nightmare. I was just walking around in my house, but it wasn't exactly my house. It was like a distorted version of the house that I was living in back then. I started to move through the different rooms and it was completely empty. There was no one in sight. Not an animal, not an insect, and of course no humans. So I went up to the second floor. I entered a bedroom and there was someone lying on the bed. I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. The person was just covered in a blanket. You could barely see the hair of the person. So I got pretty close to that person and I just started to shake them to see if I could awaken them. But suddenly the person just threw the blanket away and the entire being distorted, transformed into this nightmarish creature. The hair suddenly just fell off and it was this sort of like a bald, demonic looking face with claws. It kind of looked like a possessed person. So this being jumped at me and I just woke up immediately and I was probably drenched in sweat. I remember I was like breathing hard and I didn't know what was going on, but later on I just calmed myself because it was just a nightmare. But now you can see how that sets a sort of premise for a role-playing game. That's a cool concept for a horror adventure. Maybe the player characters just start in this house, they have no idea on how they got there, and they suddenly start to walk around the different rooms, and you could set up exactly the same scene, the same sort of encounter. You could place a non-player character just lying in the bed, and when they get close to that character, it attacks them because you already have that concept of the player characters not knowing what to do, how they got there, if there is someone that is going to give them some clue as to what is going on. And that sets up the stage for that encounter, because they see the only non-player character in the entire building, they are going to approach that non-player character in search of information. They just feel obligated to do so because they are looking for some sense, some reasons to why they are here in that in that strange, distorted house. And so that sets up things for a perfect encounter with some dangerous enemy. But let's take things in a different way, in a different angle. Maybe it doesn't have to be too nightmarish. A dream that I had like about 15 years ago, I basically found myself in this strange landscape. It combined elements of forest and jungle. That is, it seemed like a humid jungle, but at the same time you had this forest that you would usually see near mountains or the tundra. So I was with this group of people, and we were trying to figure out again what is going on. I think that's somewhat of a recurrent theme in some of my dreams and nightmares. So I saw this group of people, and there was this guy that was speaking as if he was some sort of leader. But I don't know why I had this feeling that that person was going to get everyone killed for some reason. That person perhaps wasn't too smart, or was just a narcissist trying to act like a leader. So I basically just started walking in my own way, venturing into this forest jungle sort of place. And when I turned around, suddenly these other people were started to follow me. And then I just told them, "Why are you following me? I'm not sure where I am going. This is a strange place, perhaps even dangerous. I'm just going my way. I'm not sure if I will be able to navigate my way through this place to reach some safe area. So it's up to you if you are following me." So they decided to follow me anyway. So we kept on walking, and we reached this area, like this maze of caves. And I told them, "I don't think it's a good idea to go into that maze of caves, because I think the horned monkeys are inside there." And I don't know why I said that, because I had no idea what was inside those caves. The horned monkeys, that's a pretty strange concept. So we kept on walking, but I kept on talking and told them, "Well, at least we can use those caves as shelter, perhaps, but we would need to clear them out. We don't know what's inside of those caves." And suddenly we reached this, it was quite a grandiose Aztec temple, like a pyramid. And the stones, it looked quite creepy. By that time, it was already night. There was actually like a lot of clouds. The moon was barely visible. And through that dim moonlight, we could see some blood on the stones, on the steps, as if they had sacrificed someone in that strange Aztec structure. And I was really nervous back then, because I thought, I don't know if we should go inside of that temple. Maybe we should stay away or steer clear from that structure. And then I woke up. But as you can see, you have another setup for an adventure. And I think this is a good setup for a solo adventure as well. Maybe that's the starting scene or encounter. Maybe you just start with your player character somehow teleporting into this strange forest jungle sort of place, and with other non-player characters. Maybe some of them will be your allies, maybe some of them are your enemies. You could also include the labyrinth of caves, the Aztec sort of temple or pyramid. And this is why I thought that it would be a good idea to keep a dream journal, because you can also create some random generation tables from the elements in your dreams and nightmares. So for example, maybe you write down some elements from some dreams and nightmares that you had during a month, and you obtain some very interesting things. For example, in the case of beings that you encountered in your dreams, maybe you found a farmer with the head of a rabbit, like an anthropomorphic rabbit dressed as a farmer. Or maybe you encountered, like I said, the horned monkeys. Or maybe another being is just a guy in a business suit with a briefcase. So now you can add those elements to a non-player character generation table. You could also divide those elements by theme, because those concepts of the farmer with the rabbit head and the businessman and the horned monkeys, they are so unconnected, they're disconnected from each other theme-wise. Some of them could fit into a science fantasy game, some others a very surreal fantasy experience. The guy in the business suit with a briefcase could fit pretty much any modern setting. So you could divide those elements by theme, as I told you. But maybe you also want to add those different places. Maybe, like I said, the distorted house, the Aztec temple, the labyrinth of caverns and caves. Maybe you dream about something else. Maybe you dream about this fountain in the center of a huge mansion. Maybe you see this pink colored mountain, and at the very top there is some sort of strange being floating in a sort of like a lotus position. When it comes to objects, maybe you find some very strange things. Perhaps a sword that changes shape into an axe. Maybe you find like this gift box, and when you open it, it's a portal to another dimension. You could dream about anything. You could divide different tables and subtables, as in non-player characters, objects, places, strange weather patterns. Maybe suddenly it starts to rain flowers or animals. You could also add that to your tables. So that's why I think it's such an interesting idea to have this dream journal, to take all of those elements from your dreams and nightmares, or just use those scenes as they are. Like I said, in the case of the forest/jungle with the labyrinth of caves and temples, that's your mini setting for a solo campaign or solo adventure. You could start out and you decide if you want to go into the caves, into the temple, and you start to use your Game Master emulator, your tables, your oracles, anything that you want to generate what is inside the caves, how vast or extensive the temple is on the inside. Or maybe you want to go in another direction in the jungle/forest. Maybe you find some other thing, a village, perhaps a hole in the ground, or perhaps a floating castle. So I highly recommend that you try that out. I'm just gathering some elements at the moment. I'm not sure how I will use them, but they are going to be pretty useful in my opinion when I need to improvise some result. And if you have a good memory, you could also just keep those dreams fresh in your mind, those nightmares as well, depending on how you're going to use them in fantasy adventures, horror adventures. So yes, an interesting concept. I would love to know what you think of it, or maybe some of you have already kept like a dream journal, keeping all of those elements divided by tables, by themes, using them in your own RPG experiences, adventures, campaigns. Well, I think that's it for today. Thanks for watching this video, and thank you so much to those of you that have been supporting the channel by sending Drive-Thru RPG gift certificates. If anyone else wants to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you and see you later.